Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you guys for joining us today. You got a book. Got the book.
He's got a computer.
Cool. I got a computer. I'm
more. Welcome. We're preaching today.
Yeah.
Yay.
Anyways, we're here at the church. We're joining the young adults here, led by Eric usually. But just want to say, I'm super encouraged just being with you guys. I want to just mention that I hung out with you guys probably about a year ago, and it was a really small group. I remember there was maybe only 6 or 7 of you guys, and not everybody would join every single time. So whenever I did hang out with you guys, it was like a couple of us, and just to see where you guys have come from there is just so encouraging and so just mind-blowing to me. Just I've been praying for you guys, and just really I just have such a heart for this age group. I mean, I have a heart for the youth, but I really just want to prepare them for now, where you guys are at. So I'm just really stoked that you guys are here. I mean, I know it's just such a weird time in your life where you're not forced to go to church anymore, so you really have to make that decision of like, do I still want to continue doing this? I mean, you guys make that adult decision to either run with the world or stay here, kind of like, you know, the Amish, and they do that whole I don't know, what's that called?
I don't know.
Something.
But I think that God's actually created the youth, this young space, out of, between 17 and like 25. Like, he's given us a lot of boldness, and he's given us fearlessness in this age group. Like, you're coming out of being a child and into being adult, and there's so much fearlessness. And I think that's like so special, because that gives you the place to evangelize and have a fearless faith and say, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes to share the gospel, to share the good news of the Lord.
Totally, but I think that's why the enemy really
Holds
attacks
away,
this generation, or not generation, but this age, because he knows just how powerful you guys can be.
Yeah.
And it's just like that place in your life where you're like, I don't know, like, I'm doing adult things now. Do I still want to give up my Sundays?
Or do you want to give up your life?
Yeah.
It's not just Sundays, it's life.
But this is it. I mean, you guys are really a prime example of what I feel that Joe talked about last week, of really finding your tribe.
Yeah.
Like, this is family now. Yeah. Like, I'm not, super involved with you guys, but I'm still in your text threads on the WhatsApp and stuff. So I, every once in a while I just hear my phone blowing up, and I take a look. I'm like a little fly on the wall and see where you guys are at. And it's really cool just to see what you guys do and how you guys communicate with each other. I mean, it's really a family.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are doing life outside of, your group meetings. You're doing life outside of church. I mean, I see you guys sometimes being like, hey, I'm going to work. And then other people are chiming in. They're like, you do work. You go to work and you spread the gospel. And I think that's so cool that you guys are encouraging like that. And some people are like, hey, I got a prayer request, and the responses aren't just, I'm praying for you.
It's like prayers.
Like, you guys write out your prayers.
Paragraph,
and I think that is so
prayers,
amazing. Yeah. Like, it's really cool to see. I mean, I think that's just a prime example and just the model of what we want to see in our home groups here. Like, we're really promoting this idea of meeting in homes where small communities can be formed, like families can be formed. We're saying, find your tribe, find the people who you can be really vulnerable with. You can be authentic, and you can just really come together and know that these people have your back.
Yeah.
So I see that with you guys, and I think that's super awesome. And
you can grow. We've in the past year, we've seen a lot of people just grow into this great maturity. James DeVera and Kristen Sanders, just watching her. Kristen lived with us for a year, and just watching her from the beginning of her time with us to, when she moved out, like, just the maturity and growth and her boldness and her faith, just was explosive. And I just feel like such a proud mama to see all of our youth, grow up in maturity and, step into their gifts and their calling and their, what God created them to be. So I think that you guys are really, making a stand, making a statement as young adults. Like, we're not going to conform to this world. We're gonna be transformed to be submitted to our God only, and I love seeing that. So thank you for encouraging me in that even.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. So we're seeing you guys take that step into becoming, just more of a community, and we're seeing growth come out of it. I mean, that's really what we're looking at here of, our idea of the home groups and stuff. So if you want to turn in your Bibles with me to Acts, or the end of Acts chapter 2, I'll be reading out of the Passion Translation, but we'll be reading Acts 2, 46 through 47. This is after Pentecost, and after, the disciples are going out and really trying to form their own things. This is what we see, actually just the beginning of the early church. This is the New Testament biblical model of what we're trying to go after. So Acts 2:46. Daily they met together in the temple courts and in one another's homes to celebrate communion. They shared meals together with joyful hearts and tender humility. They were continually filled with praises to God, enjoying the favor of all the people, and the Lord kept adding to their number daily those who were coming to life. So I mean, it's really cool just to see every group just really doing that together. They're spending life together outside of the church, and they're sharing meals together. And I've seen that, or I've been going around every week to help with the live stream and stuff, and I just see the community that's being brought up out of that. So it's really cool. But it also says here that they met together, all of them, in the temple courts. So I think
they did have they had the corporate meetings, but they also had their home groups.
So that's what I'm seeing. And then there's growth that comes out of that. I think that a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but some people kind of get hung up with the idea of actually going to church. But if you invite them into their homes, I think that's
it's a safer place.
Safer place, a little less scary, I think.
Yeah, because you can get lost in a big church. All our life, we kind of grew up in big church, and we had small groups and everything, but I feel like we kind of went to that whole Sunday church kind of thing.
But on the flip side, for those of us who grew up in the church, small settings can be scary too.
Yeah.
So
because you can't hide in the big group.
Because you can't hide. I mean, that's kind of where we came from. I mean, just to share where we started. When we first started attending this church, we were textbook definition, back row, Sunday Christians.
Sneak in, sneak out.
We knew that the church started at, the service started at 10 o'clock, so we'd leave the house at 10, kind of sneak in around the second song of worship, sit as close to the door as possible, and
bolts.
Yeah, closing prayer, out of there. So,
for good 3 years.
For a while. I mean, I think that was where we were at, because we had a lot of past church hurts.
Yeah.
And so it's understandable for people to do that. It's really easy to hide when you're in a big group like that, where you're not seen. So to go from there to a smaller group, a home, where it becomes a family and you're open to other people, you really are seen. And it's to the point where you have to be present. You're forced to be a part of this group, a part of the discussion, otherwise it won't continue to grow. So
and also, it's about growth. Our whole goal here is personal revival.
Yes.
Right? We want people to be unto Jesus. We want people to just be hungry and be on fire for Jesus. And that's the hugest benefit of having a home group, having people who are your tribe, who can encourage you, and you can grow and mature together. And being vulnerable seems scary, but once the Lord starts to really grab your heart, there's no depth of vulnerability that He can't cover and restore And, you know, and once he starts to uncover those things, then we actually get to see who we are, who he's created us to be. And that's the reason, you know, it's not just being there, being at a Bible study. You know, those things are all good things. But there's so much more than just a Bible study. The community and the fellowship and, you know, encouraging each other and getting excited and bringing your friends. You know, the Lord is really going to restore the earth. That's our heart. Personal revival first, small revival, small group revival, and then it will go out into the whole earth.
Yeah, totally. We've been talking about that this past week. Just we always talk about that. We want to see revival happen, but it has to start here.
It has to start here.
Start here.
Here.
It has to start here, and then when it starts here, I can pass it on to you guys, and then, you know, that will be a revival in the small groups, and then when we're all together in the big group, we can just set each other on fire, because that's where we're going to come together. I think it's going to be just a huge family reunion. I mean, these families that we're setting up, they're your immediate family. But when we're all together, I mean, it's just going to be one big party. And I think that's where we're going to just be able to pray over each other, prophesy over each other, and just really build up this church. And then starting from here, we want to see that move out. We want to see growth in the smaller groups and growth in the bigger groups, just so we can really just take over this community.
One part of the verse that stuck out to me was that the Lord added to their number daily. So it wasn't something that we were doing. Obviously, we're going to be part of that, but the Lord added. And so all we have to do is work on our personal revival, our hearts, and God is going to be doing that work. He's going to be showing up, bringing people to you, like asking random questions about faith or God. Like the Lord is stirring in hearts and stirring people's hearts for you specifically. He's giving you opportunities specifically to, to start to water the seeds that he's planted. So, you know, expect the unexpected, honestly.
Yeah, and again, I see that with this group.
Yes.
Like in that text thread that I was talking about, there's new names popping up all the time. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, they're really adding to their group. I mean, it's not a clique. This is accepting of everybody to come in, and it's really just a fellowship, like we were talking about. It's a real community feel, and it's really awesome at how accepting you guys are, and just allowing it to grow, and just maneuvering and working together in that way. So I think it's super awesome. What else do we want to say? So again, I guess going back to where we started, we were just what was I going to say? Okay, sorry.
Going back to where we started, and our testimony coming to the church.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were, coming from another church. We were looking for a church, and we stayed here. But again, we were not ready to be involved. We kind of came from a background of being at different churches and kind of getting maybe too involved. And
too involved too fast in the wrong time.
Too fast, wrong time, and we would get burnt out.
Yeah.
And so we really wanted to be strategic in that here, making sure we don't try to come in and guns blazing and take over everything and just get burnt out and leave. So we think that it's a really good thing for us how we started. I mean, like, for I guess, well, not started in that way, but the way I felt that I really got involved with the church more was when I volunteered to do a small thing. There was a invitation for the AV club to start up and train people to work the cameras, and that's where I feel like my life shifted. I mean, it's such a small thing. You think like, oh, I'm just going to volunteer for a small thing and, not really do anything beyond that. But that's where I met Christian. If you guys know
Everybody
Christian,
knows Christian.
Wetzel, he's the man. And
Shout out.
He was in charge of the AV group then, and I really connected with him. And in that small time of me just starting to help out with that, he really got to know me, and he really got to see me and know what I was about. He saw my talents, and he pulled that out of me and showed me where I could really use that for the church and for the benefit of not only for the church but for myself, just to know that that's where God had placed me. And yeah, really it was through that time where I was able to get plugged into more things and really get to know the leadership more and get more involved with the church. So I think that was a really good time for me to learn about myself and what a small relationship like that could really pull out of everybody. I know you have a kind of a similar.
It was almost
thing.
like the same testimony. I felt a small calling. So we've been in the church for a handful of years, and I felt a small calling to just serve one day at the VBS. And that moment was the moment where Jody saw me, Jody Sponda, and she pursued a friendship with me, a mama relationship with me, and she prayed for me and met with me for breakfast and like multiple times for, oh goodness, a year and a half. And I know that, she's just getting to know me, but she was secretly sozoing me, secretly praying for me. And I think she saw in me, who God created me to be. She saw past my hurts, past all the church hurts, and past the things that I had hidden underneath. And I really owe a lot to Jody and her love for me and her not giving up on me. It was such a, just a view of Jesus's heart. Like, I'm not giving up on you. No, I'm not giving up. And from there was just so much growth into the worship team, and and in the brokenness and in all of the weakness, she championed me and just celebrated with me every victory and cried with me in every defeat. So it's just been really fun to watch that growth and have her champion me. And we really want to say, this church is here to champion you. We want every person to work through their brokenness and their weakness and let God into those spaces so that we can go out and live to our fullest calling.
Yeah, that's the model we want to see is in these groups we do want to be accepting to people and really showing them just that unconditional love and that pursuit of just finding them, their individuality, and how that can be integrated into the group. I think that's really important and really awesome to see happen, and I want to see that continue to happen. I think that's really cool. So again, so what's next?
What's next? What does it look like?
What do we do from here? I mean, it's just been such a crazy, I guess, a couple months. I mean, I can't even remember when this all started, but
March 19th.
March 19th. Hey, she knows. But how long ago was that? A while.
A few months.
Okay, so I just really feel like there was such a shaking of the church. We're really changing our perspective of what church is and how we were supposed to, maneuver and figure out what's going on with this whole lockdown. But I feel like there was such a good movement to come out of it that I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, this is really cool just to see how we were able to really take the focus of I need my Sundays to fill myself up for the week, to make it such a more of a community feeling where we're searching after each other, helping each other out. We're reaching out to each other via Facebook and whatever, and Zoom and all that stuff. We really saw the community grow there. I mean, it was just such a cool time for us to really bring the church into our homes
and our hearts.
And our hearts. We're learning how to worship God, not at the church, but really in our living rooms. And I thought that was just such a cool thing for us to be involved with, and that's why we do a Tuesday night group on Facebook and YouTube. Tuesdays at 6:00. We try to do that where we're worshiping on our own, but we invite you guys to join us on Tuesday nights
living room. Yeah.
From our living room, and that's just kind of where we are just developing our home life. I mean, it really just gives us that perspective of a week through that.
Yeah, and we don't want to be polished. One thing that came out of this whole lockdown is that we have to really look at like the nitty-gritty of everything. Church had, there's a lot of like polished, finished work that comes from the church, that comes from worship, and all of that's great. It's not a problem. But one thing that the Lord has really highlighted is tearing all of that down to really the nitty-gritty of your heart. Like He really wants to work in process. And especially for us and our church, like we really want to see that process, because we know that that's where revival starts. That's where God gets to be the king, and anything that is an idol or something that's more important than God gets to get highlighted when we're outside of that church setting. Even the church can become an idol. Going to church on Sunday, that becomes an idol. And even though it can be good, and all things are good, God said, no, the church can't be more important than me. The church can't be more important than my Holy Spirit in your life, growing you and processing you. And I think that's why we've really come to a point of, we want our process to also be your process. That's why we talk like this on Tuesdays. We have a dialogue, and we want to get to the nitty-gritty of things.
I think that's really what happened during this lockdown. I don't know if you guys remember, but we tore down the stage a couple years back, or one year back. Okay,
1 year.
I don't know time anymore. So Joe had a vision of tearing up the stage to uncover an idol that was underneath there. And I really feel that that's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
As a church, that's the one thing that came out of lockdown. Is just we're just tearing up our foundation, finding those idols, finding those things that are holding us back, that is keeping us from growing, or keeping us from
keeping our eyes focused
our eyes focused
on the throne. Yeah.
This is really just a time to do that same thing, and really clean up and make sure our foundation is secure, and making our foundation solid.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to see in these groups. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, to really tear down everything. Like sometimes it's just really just stripping everything away. Even to our worship team, again, like our worship team, we had a word that the worship team was going to die, and that it is dying slow death. And I think it's died a slow death for many years till the very end. And but I think what it has done is we've come to a place where our eyes are just on Jesus, and we only want to do and only move where Jesus is moving, only listen to the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And I think He's actually doing that for the church right now, like the global church. Well, what that, like we're just tearing everything down, tearing the walls of the church down, tearing the fabric of our like consistency down, because He's like, hey, I'm not going to do the same thing again. I'm going to do something new.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're seeing revival come. We're seeing like people worshiping at the beaches, people worshiping in parks, people going all over the United States, just saying, you know what, we're not going to stand for this. Our eyes are going to get completely focused on Jesus. And that's what I think this is, this time is about. It's about letting all of the things that were in our priority above God die. Let all those things die. Take the thorns, take the weeds, take all of those things away. Turn your eyes right to Jesus. And then He'll bring everything and build it up in His order. Yeah. Yeah,
that was a long refining process for us. I mean, we're talking a long, slow death. It was pretty hard. And personally, it was really hard because, again, we were uncovering things that we had held on to our whole lives. I mean, we both grew up performing. We were in bands for the majority of our life. So we had that background of being polished, professional, and, you know, like really equating the quality of worship to how good it sounded or how good you were. The talent that you had equaled how good the band was. And it's been such a long journey for us to let go of that. You might not have seen that because we had a lot of slip-ups along the journey too, but we're now accepting it. It's not the quality or the like how good you are or the talent, but it's really just your heart. And that's the heart of worship. I mean, that's really where we want to bring up other things too. I mean, so if we're able to let go of those things that were holding us back, we'll really get down to what God has intended for us. So we really do feel that, you know, just letting go of all those past hang-ups and really just focusing our hearts onto what it is. That's pure worship. I mean, that's kind of tough to get to, but I think that's what we're doing now. I mean,
it's a good journey to get to.
It's a good journey.
Oftentimes an uphill battle, but it's worth getting to the top. It's worth journeying with the Lord to get there. It's His glory that we're after, you know.
So again, we're pursuing that, and we really want to promote and encourage just that focus. We're refocusing on what is intended within the church, and we just want to encourage you guys to keep doing what you're doing. I think it's awesome. We just wanted to really hone in on that idea and really make sure everybody's on the same page with these home groups and why we're doing it. It's not because we don't want you here. We really are looking forward to coming back to the sanctuary together. So again, so we can have a huge party and just have that family reunion, because it'll be so awesome. But we're seeing just the fruit coming out of these home groups and stuff. And, you know, I just wanted to, again, share those things. But we have a couple young adults here who have these experiences too that they would like to share if they're ready. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes? Yeah? Cool? Yeah?
Yeah.
So we just wanted to have some testimonies for, you know, these times and you know what really happens in home groups.
Hello. Should I scoot forward, or is this okay? Should I just take the microphone instead? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
We're professional.
Yeah, we're professional here. I hold the microphone, you know. Cool. Hello, everybody. This is so weird not having a speaker to hear yourself. I don't know. That's just me. I'm just that weird. Okay, because it just feels like I'm speaking to like the group, but I'm also speaking to all of you guys. So, hi, my name is Faith. I actually grew up in this church, so I've been coming here for a while, and I've not just gotten back from YWAM, but I graduated a program that I was doing with YWAM about a month and a half ago by now. It was a 9-month program where I studied the Bible, and I was just really stoked to be able to finish it because I had to be sent home and everything because of COVID. And it was just a process to be able to do it. And I've been coming to the young adults now. I've been like on and off, like whenever I come home, I usually come back. And I've been coming now to the Tuesday nights that Eric has been leading for probably about, I don't know, maybe like a month and a half now. And just everything that they were sharing just about how community really builds that family-like feeling, and like we found our tribe. It's just so true in my personal life. Being out of YWAM but still doing a program has left me really just feeling alone and like, oh man, like I'm not in the community where I'm supposed to be doing. And it was really hard to like kind of be vulnerable when no one else is like in the physical room with you, you know, and they're like all on Zoom meetings. And so since coming to the young adult meetings, I feel like my perspective, I think, on community has really changed, because something that God really has been speaking to me is that we all have the Holy Spirit in us. And that is what has connected us, just like how they were saying about, that's who brings us together, and that's who we're focusing on. And I think I had written down, and so when we're vulnerable, like with each other, like that's what is gonna get us to the deeper parts. And I was praying about like what I was going to share, and I felt like God was leading me to Haggai too. And in it, there's an example of how being unclean, that spreads, but being clean, like you have to do so much processing to actually be clean, like for the priests and everything like that. And so what God was trying to say, like through Haggai, through this example, was that negativity really can spread a lot, but positivity is a little harder to kind of like boost up, you know what I mean? Like you like really have to work at getting a group to be motivated, you know, but like negativity, it's like as soon as one person feels it, it's like the whole mood changes, and then everyone's just like, oh man, like now we have to get re-motivated just to do something. And something that he was telling me was like, negativity, like really, like it's an attitude, you know, and it covers the vulnerability that you just don't want to show people, you know, and it's like this defense mechanism sometimes of, hey, like what's really underneath that like anger that you're showing right now? Like what's really underneath of that perspective that you have on your current situation? And it's really just like, you just don't want to be vulnerable sometimes. And what coming to this group has really shown me is, because I kind of had a bit of a negative attitude for a bit, not about like community, but just about like my, like where I was, and just like, oh man, like I feel alone and blah, blah, blah. But something God was like telling me was like, Faith, like what's the deeper issue here? And I feel like since coming to young adults, it's been really like making me dig deeper, and really making me like go to that place of, hey, like we need to have a different perspective on what you're actually going through. And so I guess like my testimony is that going here and like being part of a community has really pushed me to grow in a perspective change, and really pushed me to actually go like deeper with God even, you know? And so I just want to encourage the people here, and just everyone at home listening, or I guess you guys are at home, homes, plural. Not your home, but some home. I just really want to encourage you, like if you are feeling maybe like you need to change your perspective, like it's okay to be vulnerable with those around you, and it may be a little hard at first, and like change may not happen like overnight, but that's what family's for, and that's what community is for, is so that we can really like push each other to go that much deeper. And so I guess that's me. I'm gonna pass it over to my friend Grant now.
Yes. Hold on, can I here, I just want to share something.
Okay.
You know, Faith, I'll tell you guys, let me just tell you something, that Faith has been so vulnerable with us as a group, and in just really making herself available and putting herself out there, that I just feel like your transparency, the Bible says that God opposes the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. And I really feel like there is a greater measure of grace and favor that God is going to give you in this season. And really, I think that a lot of it has to do with, God's grace. It's unmerited favor. We know that. But I really feel like a lot of it is because you have made yourself vulnerable, and you've taken this low position, and you've come in low, and you've humbled yourself. And because of that, we're going to see the fruit of that. There's fruit that comes out of that. And so I just want you to know that I'm so proud of you, and I want everybody to know that I'm so proud of Faith, and she's so awesome, and we just celebrate you. Here's Grant.
Well, good morning, everybody. As Eric and Faith have said, I'm Grant. I guess I'm still fairly new to the young adults group, but very quickly it became just the word just family. We just became a family very quick, very just, even with one close friend, Daryl Thomas, like, don't really know her all that well, but became very close with her very like quickly, like became friends like very fast. Like I guess like the word is like intimacy, like just having just the intimacy of God between all of us, and just like having that connection, like was mentioned earlier. And I didn't really have anything prepared, and just while Faith was speaking, I was like, I don't have anything prepared for a testimony. But then like God just gave me just this word of just identity. Just coming back from, just like Faith, was with YWAM. I did Youth with a Mission. I did a discipleship training school of music when I was over in Perth, Australia. And one of the things that really stuck out to me was just identity, becoming a son, knowing myself as a son, knowing God as my father. And since coming back and becoming a part of this group, God's really been just growing me, and still growing me even now, just in that identity of I am a son and he is my father. And like how even just that word family, like we are one big happy family under God's roof. Like God's provided me with a family. Like Eric and Anthony Arvizu pulled me aside one day, had lunch with me, having chicken maison, which is absolutely amazing, and just told me like, you're part of this family now, man, and it's like, we love you. And that really meant a lot, because like for me, like I didn't really have that that community like Faith was talking about, just kind of doing things on my own, and finally coming to a place to where I really needed like a mentor, and God provided me with two, one for worship and one for the prophetic, and it's absolutely amazing. And Eric's been awesome, even though it's just been one lesson. Knowing that like I'm surrounded by, sons and daughters of the Most High, and being able to share in that community with them. And, I could say that like I love you guys very much, even though like I don't know you guys, because God loves you. And, his love is my love, coming through me, Yeah.
I also want to say something about you, Grant, that I just thank you for being so teachable. I want you guys to know that Grant has such an awesome heart to serve and just to be a blessing to people. And he's always eager to bless others. And, when we were walking over to the beach, when we had our worship service at the beach, I arrive at the beach, and Grant got the times wrong, and he showed up early. Well, the entire time Grant found some people, and he'd been witnessing to people the entire time until everybody showed up. And by the time I showed up, Grant found this guy who was homeless and just down and out, and Grant was just sitting there on the floor sharing the love of Jesus with the guy. I show up, I say hi to him, and then I go over to help set up a tent and all this stuff. And I was like, hey, I wonder where Grant is. And I go over there. I mean, maybe 45 minutes pass, Grant's still over there ministering to this guy. I mean, what a heart. And we see that heart. And thank you for coming over here and being very teachable. And I even still see in this short season, God growing you. And really it's because you're teachable, and you've made yourself vulnerable in that area. And so we just, we really do. You are family here, and we love you very much, man. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Cool. Yeah, thank you guys for sharing. That's so awesome. Like just to hear, similar things, and we want to see that more. We want to see more growth from there. So if you're not part of a group, I know a lot of people are still at home And if you're not comfortable yet, we still, I believe, have a Zoom meeting going on after this where you guys can communicate through there, or there's always, the Facebook and YouTube comment section. I love how there's a lot of connection there. But if you want to get involved, if you want to get placed somewhere, reach out to us. I believe the email address is connect@coastchristian.org. Again, that's connect@coastchristian.org. You can go there, and then we'll see maybe which home group might be appropriate for you. So yeah, again, we just encourage that, and we encourage you to find your tribe.
I also want to say, with the Zoom group, I know that it sounds a little weird to be like, how can I connect on a Zoom group? I have connected with so many amazing people that I had always seen at church, but never got to really know. And like, I feel like those people are part of my family and part of my heart even. So the Zoom group, like, is so awesome. There's amazing people on there. Totally. And again, we're loving, we're accepting, and we really just want you to feel like you have a safe place. Even if it's on Zoom, you have a safe place to really share your heart and find the first step to grow. It's not just, you're not alone in your faith. If you don't know, if you're brand new in your faith and you're just like, what do I do? Where do I go? Like, the Zoom is a great spot to like just kind of start to build to build community. And even from there, people who do the Zoom, they also have home groups. So you can actually like start to see like, reach out to different individuals and see like, hey, can we hang out? Can we do a Zoom or go to coffee or take a walk on the beach? So I just really want to encourage you, like if you just take that first step, you're going to be embraced. It's not that you have to do so much work or strive. It's the first step to being embraced into a family.
Yeah, so there's a couple short notes that I have here. Just to end with is, in a home group, you are seen and you are known and you are valued. Wow. So again, you want to find that. You want to find a place where you can not only do that for other people, but find a community that will do that for you. I think it's super important for that. Also, in a home group, you can be yourself, you can be authentic, and you can be vulnerable. So I know that takes a little bit of time to get to that point, but we're all working on it together. So I really encourage that. And it's a place where if you're not already at a place to trust these people, you can build that trust. So that's where... Again,
it's not about perfection. You don't have to be perfect. We don't want you to be perfect. Yeah. We just want you to be teachable and being able to process and be able to process with us. Because we're not perfect. We make mistakes. We say the wrong things, and that's okay. We want to value process more than perfection, and growth and redemption more than perfection. And that's Christ's heart. And it's where the world is right now, is like, you have to be perfect or you're canceled. And I had this word this week, like, we are about process and redemption. And that's Christ's heart, like, even to the point of the man next to him on the cross lived a horrible life. He was sentenced to death. But God said, your redemption is worth more because I love you more. And that's what I want, that's what I want you to know, is that redemption is more valuable than perfection. So we go through it together. It's okay to be imperfect.
Redemption over cancellation. For sure.
Yeah.
So, so we just want to leave you guys with this. This is a little discussion. It's really easy this week. For those of you who may not, or maybe a little bit newer as a home group, we just want you guys to share with each other. So we have, what should we know about you that would help us connect with you? I mean, it's just really simple discussion topic. If there's especially for the newer groups, this is just a way to be vulnerable. It's a practice in opening up and getting to know each other. So what should we know about you that would help us connect with you? And for the ones that are more established, you guys might not need to do that, so we can just go straight into the prayer. And this week we just want you guys to pray for and prophesy over each other. So that's really simple. Hopefully that's not too over your heads, and that's kind of where we're at. So.
Knowing our church, it's not over anybody's head.
It's not over. so let's do it. So thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Again, just share with each other, and we just thank you guys. So.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Bye bye.
Love you.